Okay, I just want to welcome everybody today. I don't know what the background noise is, but I just want to thank you so much for joining us today on this exciting day. I just want to also remind everybody that Australia is officially open, and we are super excited about that. We're excited about the fact that we've already had some people come into the organization, and it's been really, really, really fun to watch that happen. If anybody has anybody in Australia that is having difficulty signing up, we are here to, definitely help you with the process. So make sure that you are aware of that. And I'm super excited to just give you one more quick announcement on the trackers. So tomorrow is Friday, and we're going to all be turning in our trackers for the week. We're going to go over our Class A prospects. We're going to share some information. And so I look forward to seeing everybody tomorrow. I think it'll be really fun to kind of go over our activities. And so I look forward to that. So I'm going to jump right into our speaker today. I am so excited about this, you guys. When we got started in Nerium, one of the things that when we met David Byrd, I was so excited because for years, Robert had had the benefit of being coached in his industry, in the mortgage industry. And, first of all, it cost a tremendous amount of money, and we didn't have the kind of money to spend on both of us. So Robert would get coached, and then he'd kind of share the information with me. And, I always loved that part of our growth in business, because it was incredible to be able to have somebody there to kind of help us through the experience. And, Nerium is such an amazing company that when you reach the level of National Marketing Director, you get the opportunity to not only work along David, but his incredible, other leader developers in his company. And this has been something that I think has just been amazing, not only Robert and I, but it has been just amazing for, all of the people that I know that train and are coached by David and his staff. And so I put up here his bio so that you guys really understand how impressive and amazing it is to be able to have David on our call today to help us with our development and leadership, and to help us develop other leaders in our in our teams. And so what I want to do now is I really, really want to very, very exciting for us to be able to introduce David Byrd onto the call. And you know what, David, I'm going to unmute you. And I think, though, that we're having some sort of a issue on the sound. So let me see here. Are you there? There you are. I'm going to unmute you, and let's see if it has anything to do with your sound. I think it is your sound for some reason. I'm not sure why. Can you hear me? Oh, gosh, we can't hear you. It's not coming out right.
It is coming from David Byrd.
So, David, are you on a headset? We can't hear you. You sound like an alien.
It's Donald Duck.
Let's see. If you're on the headset, you probably have to get off the headset. And if you're not on a headset, I'm not exactly sure. There you are. Are you there? I think David.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, there you are. That's wonderful. There you go. Thank you. Okay, everybody, David Byrd.
Hey, guys, I don't know if you can see me, but can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Very good. Very good. All right, guys, let's, I want to thank you first, Annie, for that introduction. And guys, I always enjoy working with Robert and Annie. They come from a wealth of background and experience, a lot of different things, been very successful in several things. And I've always enjoyed working with them from a professional standpoint. And then from just getting to know them personally, it's even better. So guys, thank you for having me on the call. I was on your call a couple of weeks ago, 2 or 3 weeks ago. I talked about, just briefly, I talked about kind of the psychology of tracking. I talked about the psychology of tracking, and I want to include some of that in this conversation. But guys, I want to go in a little bit more in depth with the whole process of next level achievement. First, I want to start by asking you a question, and I want you to think about this for a second. This is something that I have. This question embodies my entire 40 years of work and experience. This question is the one thing that stands between everyone, the current position versus where they want to go in life. I call it next level growth. Now, why is it? Here's the question. Why is it that next level growth is difficult to reach and difficult to sustain? Think about that for a second. Why is that? Why is it difficult to reach and difficult to sustain? Why do some people bump right up to SD and then fall right back to brand partner? Why do some people bust right up to NMD and fall back to SD or ED? The things that got them there would be the same things that would get them back there, but for some reason, when they fall back, they feel stuck. Also, there's also the circumstance of where a brand partner never gets off the ground. They just kind of puddle along and they stay where they are. You know, and I've asked a lot of very astute people in the field of psychology and the field of education, people, professionals, that question, and I get all kinds of crazy answers. I get answers like, well, it has a lot to do with fate. Well, what they're talking about is they think it has a lot to do with luck. And some people believe that it's somebody got lucky or they had the right circumstances, that people succeed because they're faced with the right circumstances. Guys, in 40 years of experience of working with next level of growth, I have found none of those to be consistently true. Yeah, I do find people who get lucky from time to time. Yeah, I do find that. The people who get lucky have a tendency not to be able to sustain that luck over a period of time. First difficulty knocks them right back. Right circumstances, I have watched people wait a lifetime for right circumstances to show up for them to succeed. So I don't believe it's any of those answers. And so the answer I have found over my years of research and over my years of working one-on-one with people in next level growth, and it's something I've dedicated my life simply because I truly enjoy doing it. And I love to see people get to that next level. But I found that not everyone will make that trip with me. So when I go to these NLAs, people ask me all the time, what's the answer to this? What's the answer? Why people say, well, I achieved this level, I achieved RMD, and then I fell back to SD, and what am I doing wrong? Well, my answer to that question is you're probably not doing anything wrong. It could be that you're just not doing something right. So the answer to the question of why is next level growth difficult and why is it difficult to reach and even to sustain it, it's because people fail to find where that true key is. The key, each and every one of you have the capability to achieve whatever you desire to achieve in this business. I know that because I have observed. I knew Mark and Tammy Smith when they were struggling. I knew Darren Kidd when he was flat broke. I knew all of these folks at that time. There's no difference between them and you. There's no difference between you and Robert and Annie. The only difference is the mindset, the head. The answers lie inside you. And if you look anywhere else for the answers, you will never find the true key. And the true key is learning how to manage your thoughts and your attitudes and your expectations and match those expectations up with your choices and your actions. People who achieve and sustain that achievement never listen to the noise of the crowd. They always listen to their internal voice. That internal voice is that thing that goes beyond five senses. It's you can hear it. It's inside you. You have the answers to your life. But as long as you look exterior from yourself to find the answers, you will be searching for the rest of your life. The answers lie inside you. I have found that when people finally get to a point where they can accept that and believe that, then all of a sudden the answers start showing up, because they then begin to do the right things. It's not because you're doing something wrong. It's usually simply because you're doing something right. Yeah, we all make mistakes and we all do wrong things and we all misunderstand things, but I have found that those are not the things that hold you back. The things that hold you back are in your own head. So that's what I want to talk about today. I believe that there are three things that make up the keys to your future achievement. And you notice I don't use the word success a lot. Success is an end destination, and I never want to attain to an end destination. I want to attain to a lifestyle, a process, and that is achievement. Achievement is doing the right things consistently over a sustained period of time. So let's talk about the three things, the three big things that I would recommend. If you came to me and say, will you please give me one coaching session and give me the best you got to help me get to next level? These are the three things I would talk to you about. Number one, I would talk to you about committing to a system. People have a tendency, well, we all have this tendency. It's a natural instinctive tendency to stay in our own life position. You know, even though our life position might not be what we want, what we desire, or what we would choose, we have an instinctive drive to stay there. I wrote a book about that, The Tripping Point in Leadership. It's about apathy. And I define apathy in the book. The working definition I use is a natural instinct that is common to us all, that consistently encourages us to seek a comfort zone in which nothing ever changes. Psychologists call that a comfort zone. It's even though we're not comfortable in it, we have a tendency to stay there. So understand this about yourself. Wherever you are in life, wherever you are, you have a natural human instinct that is telling you to stay there. To get to next levels in your life, you have to learn how to overcome that instinctive response that's going on in your head right now. You know, and the reason why it's difficult is because your natural human instinct will fight any change that takes place in you. In other words, you start doing something and it feels awkward, it feels difficult, and you might do it for a week. And then finally you just say, oh, this is just not me. I just can't do this. This is not me. This doesn't feel right. Guys, you can't go on your feelings. You've got to go on your mindset, your head of where you're going. You got to make your choices and your actions match what you desire. And that's difficult to do because when you start to do something, your natural instincts are immediately fighting against you. I learned that 30 years ago. And because of that, I put together a system. I call it the Next Level Achievement System. And I put together a tool to manage it. It's called the Achievement Planner. Yeah, it's a manual planner and it's a big book and everybody complains about having to carry it around. It's too heavy. The lines are too small and da-da-da-da-da. I tried that. It doesn't fit me. I like my phone, da-da-da. Here's the problem, guys. It's not about what's in that book. It's about what that book can do for you. Because in that book, everything we do is designed to move you forward proactively. In other words, intentionally moving you forward in life. If you're not using a planner, I would recommend that you do so. Now, are there other planners? Yes. Are there other systems? Yes. But the chances of you creating your own system would take years. It took me 30 years. So it's going to take you years to create your own system that truly works. It's going to take you a couple of years of doing nothing but studying the psychology of learning. Why don't you just take something that's been proven over 30 years? And even though it might feel uncomfortable, simply adopt the system and start using it. Think about the things we do in that system. Number one, we start with a 5-year vision statement. Do you have a 5-year vision statement? Do you know what your life would look like if you could design it exactly the way you want it to be 5 years from now? All right, that's your compass in life. That points north. You're just drifting if you don't know where you would choose to be. So painting a picture 5 years from now of if you could wave a magic wand, what would life look like? That's huge because it acts as a compass in life. If you get lost, you read your vision statement and that's pointing north for you. It keeps you away from listening to the noise of the crowd and keeps you pointed razor, arrow sharp, straight toward your north, where you're going. Then we go to monthly planning, annual planning. We set annual goals. Then we go to monthly planning. We set monthly goals. And then we don't trust our memories. We take everything out of our memory and put it down on a piece of paper. And that way your brain can be freed up to think creatively rather than, I got to remember to do that. I got to remember to do that. I got to remember to do that. Our brains were not created to do things like that. Our brains were really, truly created to move us forward and to be very creative. You can't do that if you got it loaded down with all the stuff you have to remember. So you're writing all of this stuff down. But the big thing, it's a small thing to the people who have developed the habit, but in the beginning, it's a big thing. And that is you always plan tomorrow before tomorrow begins. In other words, you're intentional about tomorrow before it happens. Most people simply wait for tomorrow to happen, and then they simply react during the day to the circumstances that happen to them. That's allowing the circumstances of life to define you and to define where you're going in life. So if you came to me and said, one session, give me the best you got, that would be number one. You must commit to a system of personal management, because what that does, you remember I talked earlier about that natural human instinct? What that does is it lifts you above your natural human instincts. In other words, you're using a system that lifts you above rather than your feelings and your instinctive responses to life. The system is extremely important, guys. Number two, I have found that one of the most important things in life is you must always have targets to shoot at in your life. You can't just aimlessly drift, cross your fingers, and hope everything works out. You must be aiming for something. Now, guys, Annie just showed you the tracker sheet. What's that for? I mean, a lot of lines and a lot of checkoffs, and yet it takes time and effort. What's that for? Those are representative of targets in your life. This is what you're shooting for. If you don't have a target, there's no way you can aim. So when you have a target, you can truly focus on hitting that target. Now, it's not about do you hit it every time. I've never met somebody who hits their goals every time, 100% of the time, always. It does not exist. What I always look for, guys, is don't look at hit or miss when you set goals. Look at hitting 70% of your goals. If you hit 70% of all the goals you ever set in your life, you're going to be a very, very happy person. So don't defeat yourself by setting hit or miss goals. Always put a measurement to your goals. For instance, if you had a goal of hypothetical, making $1,000, and instead of making 1,000, you made 700, you didn't miss your goal. you hit 70% of your goal. If you made 500, you hit 50% of your goals. Most people never completely miss their goals, but we got this idea that you either hit it or you miss it. And you don't want to set yourself up for failure like that. So always, every month, know what you're shooting for. Have some basic goals. And the second thing, track. This is the second part of number 2. Set goals, but most importantly, track them. If you just set goals and then never look at them during the month, your chances of hitting them are very slim. The reason you have these weekly calls is just a weekly tracking check-in. Why do you check out those boxes on that sheet and fill all that in? What's that for? That's for you. It's for no one else other than you. It's helping you track what you need to track to hit your goals. So guys, you're not doing that tracking sheet for Annie. You're doing it for you. And that's the most important thing to remember. Number 3. This is the third thing I would tell you if you came to me for a single coaching session and asked me to give you the best I got. Number 3, always find the common denominators of what you're trying to do. In other words, in any business you go in, or any type of achievement you're trying to accomplish, there will be a common denominator. In other words, it's the common denominator is something that relates to everything else. In other words, a common denominator is something that when you do enough of that, you're going to accomplish the results you're looking for. That's the most important thing. So look for the common denominator. Now, in Nerium, there is a common denominator. And the common denominator within Nerium, and I talked with you about this in the first call I did with you guys a couple of weeks ago, and that is a Class A prospect. A Class A prospect is someone you've talked to about the business. Number 2, they've indicated some interest. And then number 3, they're less than 60 days old. Now, why do we put those stringent requirements on your Class A prospects? Why can't you count just all of your drip list as Class A's? Here's why. You want to make sure you're managing the consistent newness in your business. We know that 90% of our new starts come from new interest, not old interest. Yes, you've got a drip list of people you've talked to years ago, and they will come into the business someday. You've got PCs out there that may come in the business someday, but that's too slow, guys. You've got to have a current list, a current inventory of Class A prospects for you to move forward. And here's what I've found about that. And this is something I managed myself by as a young executive 35 years ago. If I had an inventory of 10 or more Class A prospects, I could sleep well at night because I know I'm going to close 2 to 6 of those. The people who recruit consistently, they recruit from the common denominator of Class A prospects. Now, there's a possibility of there's some on this call right now who do not have any Class A prospects. You're saying I'm 0, and so I must not be doing something right. No, everybody's going to be at 0 at some times. Annie and Robert have been at 0 at times. I know because we talk about that. It's not something that you should shy away from. In other words, no one's going to look at you badly if you report 0. Now, if you report 0 5 months in a row, there's something wrong. And you need to talk to Annie and get that straightened out. But everybody's going to be at 0 once a month or every other month. But the goal is if you're at 0, that means you're out of business. You've got to get some Class A prospects. If you got 1 to 4 Class A prospects, you're still in the danger zone. You need to get above 5. Once you get above 5, you're playing the game. You're in the game once you get above 5 Class A prospects. 7, you're winning. 7 to 10 Class A prospects at all times will get you to NMD within 6 months. Guys, that's what you must do. The noise in the crowd is coming from all the folks who have failed at doing that. And I know, because I know those folks. Don't listen to the noise in the crowd. You play your own game. This is your game. This is no one else's game. You play your game. You keep your head in the game, and you keep yourself at 7 to 10 Class A prospects at all times. I promise you, if you do that, you'll be NMD within 6 months, regardless of what your rank is right now. A brand partner could do that. I know because I've seen it done. So the Class A prospect idea is probably the one key denominator in Nerium. Now there's several others. There's not common denominators. They're key performance indicators like exposures and asking the magic question of every one of your customers. Those are KPIs, key performance indicators. But they all lead to the common denominator of Class A prospects. Here's what we know about Class A prospects. If you're truly measuring Class A prospects by the 3 qualities I gave you, you're going to be closing 50% of that group every 90 days. Now, on a monthly basis, it'll be somewhere between 40 to 65%. But over a 90-day period, it'll be 50%. That's why you know that you can sleep well at night if you have 7 to 10 Class A prospects at all times. When I talk to the top recruiters in this company, the first thing I ask them is, how many Class A's do you have? And they're constantly telling me anywhere from 6 up to 15. Now, they don't maintain that. Sometimes they're at 0. So it's okay to report the truth on these tracking sheets that you're tracking. Tell the truth. It's okay. I've found that one of the big things about moving forward in one's career is that when you admit where you really are in your business and in life, when you get to that point where you can admit that to yourself, that's step 1 toward your future achievement. But if you're constantly trying to fool yourself and others that you're somewhere other than where you are, you're holding yourself back, because you can never grow from where you think you should be. You can only grow from where you truly are. So, quick review. 3 big things that I would give you if you came to me and asked me what are the keys to a long-term sustainable achievement. Number 1, you must commit to a system. Systems lift you above your natural human instincts. Number 2, every month you must have targets to shoot at. Goals are not any good unless you have some way of tracking your progress toward those goals. Every week you must track. And number 3, manage the common denominators within your business. Now, before I finish, there's one other thing that I promised Annie that I would talk about. There is the NLC is a great program. I love the NLC program. It's driving massive product sales. And we have thousands of new PCs out there who have never, ever been talked to about the business, ever. They don't know anything about the Nerium business. They love the Nerium product. Now, we realize that once you stratify, become an organization as big as we are, you're not going to communicate with all the masses all the time. You communicate with the core. I believe I'm talking to the core of Robert and Annie's group right now. You're the core. And so that's why I share this kind of information with you. I would never stand on stage and communicate this to a vast audience. However, the masses are driving new PCs. We know that. But they're not being talked to about the business. Now, is that a good thing or a bad thing? Some people started complaining about it. Well, I said, no, this is a good thing, because what the masses are doing the plowing and planning. But what the core is not doing is reaching out to these new PCs and talking to them about the business. And I hear all kinds of things. Well, it feels uncomfortable. My people don't want me talking to their customers, So there's a new thing you're going to be hearing a lot more about. It's called new PC conference calls. Annie's going to be following up with you and talking with you more about this. Here's how it works. You, once a month or 2 times a month, you schedule a specific time, and it happens every month, just like a scheduled call, where you invite new PCs to come on the call. And what the leader will do is simply welcome the customer, thank them for their business, high profile one product, and every week you high profile a different product because most of these customers don't know about the other products. And you finish with what I call the magic question. Here's the magic question. You know, behind this wonderful business is a beautiful business model. Say the word model, not opportunity. There's too many negative connotations in people's minds about opportunity. There's a beautiful business model. I would love to have an opportunity to talk with you about that. I can even show you how to get your product for free. If you have an interest in that conversation, let your sponsor know, and I'll get the information. I'll follow back up with you. Look forward to talking with some of you later in the week. Thank you for being on the call. Thank you for being a customer of Nerium. Good night. And that's the call. That's the magic question. Now, if you are personally selling product, which I know you are, you always end after you've signed the customer up and you've already solidified the sale. They are a customer. Before you walk out the door, you say, you know, behind this wonderful product, there's a beautiful business model, and I'd love to talk with you about that. And I could even show you how to get your product for free if you'd be interested in that conversation. So I'll give you a call next week and see if you'd be interested in talking about that. So ask the question, guys. People cannot assume that simply because someone sold them a product that there's a business model behind it. They don't know that. So you have to ask the question. It's a simple question. No one can be offended by it. I mean, how could you be offended by somebody just simply asking you a question? Would you be interested in a conversation like this? Here's what we find. 50% of the people, no, 70% of the people who come on these PC conference calls, 70% of those people are interested in the conversation. And 50% of those people become brand partners. There's a huge opportunity out there, guys, and Annie is going to be following up with you more in depth about that down the road. So, Annie, thank you for having me on the call. I hope I didn't go too fast, and I hope I didn't cover too much, but those are the 3 things that I would counsel anyone on and who's trying to get to that next level. Guys, remember, the answers to your life lie inside of you, not your circumstances and not what other people are saying, thinking, or doing. You hold the answers. Thank you, Annie.
Thank you so much, David. Really appreciate it.
Wow, David. Yes, Robert's here also. David's not used to Robert getting up this early. But for David Byrd, absolutely. Oh, my gosh. First of all, how many of us wish we had more of our team on this call listening to that?
Yeah.
That is absolutely amazing. And, David, that's what we call a gold mine. And you were so full of nuggets in this gold mine. Now it's up to us to pull those nuggets, take these nuggets and actually do something with them. Like, I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do with these nuggets. Annie and I took a lot of notes here, and we're going to have some quiet time right now for the next 15, 20 minutes and make sure that we're on track with everything David has said. You know, I have been coached for many, many, many years, and it's cost me tens of thousands of dollars. And you guys just got coached that cost normal people in normal companies tens of thousands of dollars. So truly, congratulations for being on this call, because what you do with this is going to be up to you. But I would not waste this valuable information. This is some of the most amazing coaching I've heard, and I am truly excited to use it. And Annie and I are going to start doing competition against each other again, like we did when we were first in the business. We're going to start, we did that, and that's how we ran pretty quickly as we went into competition with each other. And we had a lot of fun with that. was absolutely a lot of fun. But be in competition with yourself. Have fun with this. Use the tracker. The tracker keeps you on base for everything that we've talked about doing the activities. And guys, thanks for being the ones that got up on the West Coast, that are already up on the East Coast, but for being on this. And David, as always, you're the best. We appreciate you immensely. And we'll talk to you guys soon. Have a great day.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys.